All right. Welcome back to Access Evolved. We have another very special guest with us this episode. Greg is here to talk about how you can use Border0 to troubleshoot GitHub Actions faster and easier. So first and foremost, Greg, tell me a little bit about CI/CD and GitHub Actions. What does it mean? Why is it so important? How does it really work?
Yes. So, hi, I'm Greg. And GitHub is where most companies keep their code, right?
Right?
So it makes sense to use it for testing and deploying it. This is where actions come in.
Okay.
It's a convenient way to set up your entire code's lifecycle in one place.
Mhm. Okay. So, and what we're focusing on today is a very specific kind of pain related to troubleshooting. So, I'm sure every DevOps engineer has dealt with this, trying to debug CI/CD jobs that fail because they're ephemeral. So, they're going to disappear. So, if you've ever had a GitHub action fail, watched the runner vanish, been left staring at the logs, trying to figure out, well, what just happened, this episode is for you. So, Greg, let's start with the reality that most engineers are living in today. What actually happens? What does it look like to troubleshoot when your CI job fails?
Yeah, so most of the time, you're digging through logs in GitHub or your
Mhm.
CI system. Then trying to figure out what went wrong. Then you try to reproduce it locally.
Okay.
But it's hard, right? Because failures are not often very obvious. They're environment specific sometimes.
Okay.
There's something with the path, permissions, different packages, slightly different network access,
Mhm.
minor OS differences. Everything sort of stacks up sometimes.
Yeah.
So you effectively make a guess,
Mhm.
changing or fixing it. You push your change fix, rerun the whole pipeline,
Mhm.
wait, and maybe finishes, maybe fails again, and effectively starts the process again.
Okay. And you mentioned like this is you're troubleshooting something that no longer exists.
Yes, yeah, effectively that's the whole point of
Right.
those runners, right? They're fully ephemeral. So
Yeah.
once they fail, they're gone. They disappear, and you're trying to reconstruct a snapshot, like your moment in time,
Mhm.
using your logs and intuition.
Okay. So when you were telling me about this, when we were prepping for this episode, you shared a metaphor that really helped me understand. It kind of stuck with me. Can you walk us through that metaphor?
Yeah, so effectively imagine trying to walk through a classroom full of desks and chairs,
Hmm.
but it's pitch black, right?
Okay.
You're trying to get from the door, from the entrance to the other side. Take a few steps, you hit a chair with your leg. Now,
Hmm.
now you know what the chair is. You take it, go back outside, leave it there, and retrace your path. Go the same way. Take a few more steps. You hit something else again, right? You move
Hmm.
out of the way or take it out. And then again, each time when you walk a little bit further, hit another obstacle, you have to go back to the start and repeat the whole process again. So that's effectively what it's like to debug some of the CI/CD pipelines. Every single time something changes, you have to start from scratch and rerun it over.
Hmm. So the other thing you were mentioning is not only does this sound incredibly frustrating and challenging, but it can also be expensive, right?
Oh yeah, the compute cost can really stack up sometimes, especially if you're running Java and Windows builds or some huge C++, heavy test suites.
Hmm.
But the biggest cost is probably the human time and frustration to the engineers.
Yeah.
It could be 20, 30 minutes sometimes per rerun to effectively get to the same point or get a little bit further. So the context switching, it's really frustrating. It's taxed not only on time productivity, but basically just slowing everyone down.
Yeah, it sounds like it. So, okay, so that's what most teams are sort of stuck doing today, but we're here to solve problems. So, how do we make troubleshooting easier leveraging Border0?
So yeah, in an ideal world, when the runner fails, you'd freeze it,
Okay.
in that exact moment. Pause it and then open a secure channel, uh, get on, inspect the environment, figure out what was wrong with check the files, check permissions, variables,
Mhm.
network, all that kind of stuff. Basically, without guessing, you have the environment as it was at the moment of failure without needing to recreating it later.
Okay, so you're preserving that moment so that you can go in and do your troubleshooting. So that sounds like a DevOps dream, but what does the security team think about that
Well,
scenario?
yeah, those those runners are ephemeral for a reason.
Right?
They're usually very highly sensitive, contain a whole bunch of credentials, keys, passwords, tokens,
Yeah.
and so they would have a very big blast radius if they just left running, and especially if you just let anyone SSH into them or slap them onto a VPN and basically open them up to whoever's got access at that time.
Yeah, yikes. Okay, so that's the tension. We're always talking about it. But so yeah, DevOps wants like speed and visibility, and security wants the control and to be able to audit what's going on. So how does Border0 make both sides happy?
Well, yeah, so three main pieces here, right? First of all is the access control. The runner dials out through Border0, nothing's exposed inbound,
Hmm.
um, and you decide exactly who has access to it, right? And only then uh, people can jump on it. And
Okay.
it's triggered based on a failure, right?
Hmm.
Second thing is the least privilege and just-in-time access.
Okay.
So the getting on the box is based on policies, right?
Hmm.
So you can require approvals for people as well. So you limit exactly to who can connect to it.
Hmm.
You automatically revoke access when the session ends.
Hmm.
So you have a very granular control over who gets there. And
Right.
then the last bit is the full auditability.
Hmm.
Every session is logged, recorded. So security team knows exactly what happened, when, how,
Hmm.
and you can even replay a recording of what was executed. So you're getting a PAM grade access applied to an ephemeral infrastructure.
Yeah, that's super important to note. So it's definitely not VPN access. You're not attaching a failed runner to a network.
No, 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 none of that. There's no standing access. There's no persistent exposure. It's all event-driven, all ephemeral and very tightly controlled.
All right. So, okay, let's make this real. Can you walk us through a quick demo of what this looks like?
Yeah, sure. Let's have a look.
Okay, let's walk through a failed CI/CD job. So we have a prepared simple action that's designed to fail. I'll kick it off, and in here you'll see there's several elements. This is all fake, but the point is that one of those tasks is designed to fail. That will trigger our debugging socket. There you go. Just a quick second. There you go. And our debugging connector is up. Let's quickly open up our desktop app. Here we see the SSH socket of the ephemeral connector inside our GitHub runner. Let's go ahead and open that in the web portal. So right now we are being led into effectively an ephemeral GitHub Action runner that's behind NAT, has private networking, and is completely cut off from the internet. But because we're using Border0, we're able to go in, have a look what's inside, inspect everything, debug in place, so we don't have to rebuild it ourselves. Now, once we're done with the debugging, we can either cancel the workflow or basically just exit the process. And now in here, we'll see that this is all done. And in the admin portal, we can see our ephemeral connector is already offline, right? It was created just now. And in here, we're gonna have our sessions So this is effectively me logging in. We have a full recording of what happened, right? So this is effectively a full audit, whether it is for review, whether it is for security compliance or retro or some sort of a training purposes. We see what happened, everything is recorded, everything's saved in there. We get even more details in here, and this is security team kind of angle where we have full identity, the device, when, how, where, and again the recording itself. And our connector will be cleared up within 5 minutes. So this is effectively it. With a very simple setup, we were able to debug our failed GitHub action in place on an ephemeral setup with an ephemeral connector with full session and log audit.
Okay, Greg, that looks super easy. Definitely a better way to do things. Let's put a bow on it. What's the real impact for an engineering org using Border0 this way?
So the main one is, faster recovery, fewer reruns, less wasted compute and time.
Yeah.
And that's the most important thing. Less wasted engineering time and frustration for them.
Yeah.
And because everything is recorded, and you can effectively take all that later on and run the educational sessions or run retro if you need to provide a sort of report on it, and learn from it. That's the main thing.
Awesome. We love that. All right. So folks, if you're listening to this and thinking, yes, this is my life, try Border0 to help troubleshoot those ephemeral GitHub actions. Try debugging with Border0.